Today we're going to talk about protecting one of our biggest investments as carnivores. Hello everyone, semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. If you're new to the channel, welcome, I'm glad you're here. What you're watching is you're watching me walk. I know this doesn't seem super exciting, but when you realize that a little over 2 years ago I couldn't do this, then it becomes quite a bit more interesting. I could barely stand for a couple of minutes without severe pain, and now I'm out here walking every day. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. Thanks for stopping back by. It means a lot that you spend just a few moments of your day with me. I would like to ask each and every one of you to help me out just a little bit. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Drop down in the comments and say, "Hi, Bob." And if you haven't subscribed yet, why don't you consider subscribing? All these things are absolutely free and help me get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. I'm 61 years old, and I'm doing things now that I couldn't do when I was 40. Oh, it looks like they're doing some kind of construction up there on the corner. Got a bunch of heavy equipment and trucks parked all over the place, so to avoid the noise, we're going to turn around and go back this way. But let's just talk very briefly about protecting our biggest investment, or one of our biggest investments. A freezer full of meat. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Bob, what in the world brought this on? Well, we lost power here in my neighborhood yesterday. Luckily, it wasn't so brutally hot that we had people getting sick from overheating, because it was only about 75 degrees yesterday, and it's again about 75 degrees today. It was, I think, 73 on my thermometer when I left the house to take this walk. But we were without power for several hours. And it got me thinking, what in the world? Because the weather was nice. It's not like a storm knocked anything out. Apparently, a car lost control down over the hill, and we have the lines that come into the neighborhood are still above ground, even though everything here in this neighborhood is buried. So somebody slammed into a power pole, knocked out power to several thousand customers. But I was prepared. Now, I didn't have to, obviously a freezer's not going to thaw out in just a few hours. But I did something kind of neat. While everybody else, I came out, and as you can see, let me turn this around here. There we go. Because I was with nothing to do, I came out and cut the grass. And then I'm sitting around on the outside of the house here looking around, and everybody is outside doing stuff because there was nothing to do. There was no power. And then I got the brilliant idea, because I am prepared to go off grid down in Texas, I went inside and checked where the fiber line comes into the house. And the transmission of that apparently runs on the same type of power that the phone lines used to. So it still had power. The little converter box that runs the line in the house wasn't working. So I took one of my small power stations and plugged the converter box into a power station. And then I took another one of my little power stations and plugged the upstairs router into it. And I took another power station and plugged my downstairs router into it. And voila! I had internet in the house during a power outage, because everybody else was doing nothing. My internet was really fast last night. It normally is, because I got gigabit. Oh, hang on. There's a street sweeper coming up the street, of course, so he's going to make a bunch of noise. Well, that was exciting. And then I'm sitting there working on my little laptop screen, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, I've got that great big monster-sized one upstairs too. So I picked up, it's about a 75-pound power station. I picked that up and carried it downstairs and plugged my big monitor and the laptop itself into the big one, and my laptop got fully charged. I had my big monitor running. Everything was great. I had internet for a couple of hours before the power came back on, and I didn't even use quite 2% of all the total power that I have available to myself. Where's all this going, Bob? Why are you telling us this story? Well, it is Prime Days, and there are many great portable power stations on sale. So it's something to think about, because I did this experiment. If you go back and look, I did the experiment of plugging my house freezer into that big monstrosity of a power station that I bought. And if it had come to it, there's enough power in that power station to run my freezer for several days. So since we never know what might happen, perhaps it's a good idea to get yourself, even if you're not planning on going off grid, for grid down situations, perhaps we should all have some kind of a little portable power supply in the house that we can plug our freezer into, at least to keep our meat frozen. And what else do we need? A way to cook it. Again, I'm not telling everybody that they should get ready and get out there and buy a chunk of land and become a homesteader or live off grid. But I know quite a few people don't have gas grills. And gas grills are kind of an investment. But if you pick up a little cheap grill that runs on charcoal, you can store that in the garage along with a bag of charcoal that'll basically last forever until you use it. And keep those in your emergency supply. Because if something happens and we're without power for several days, we have the ability to keep our meat frozen, and then we have the ability to cook it. So, just something to think about. It got me thinking about it because I was standing out. My phone service here is kind of weird, because I use Mint Mobile, which is a subcarrier of T-Mobile. And my house is one of those old houses that I don't get good cell signal inside the house. So without my Wi-Fi up and running, I actually have to step outside the house to make a phone call. So while I was standing out here, basically where I end my videos, I was standing right here leaning up against my trailer making a phone call, when I'm looking up and down the street seeing all of the people outside trying to find something to do, because we've become so dependent on power that perhaps some kind of a backup power system is not such a bad idea. Just something to think about. That's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope some of what I said made sense. That's what I've got for you today, folks. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.